What do you think are the essential items you need in your flower arranging kit? I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. Well, obviously, first of all, you're going to need a pair of scissors. And if you're starting off, your kitchen scissors will be just fine. I used my kitchen scissors the first 3 or 4 months when I really got into flower arranging, and then they started to fall apart. They just weren't up to the job. So I invested in a pair of floristry scissors, and I really love these. These are a mid-priced pair of scissors, and if you're interested in sourcing your own, I'll leave a link to them in the show notes underneath the video. A distinctive yellow handle, so you can always find them amongst your greenery, and these ones have got a little section in the middle here for cutting any wire work. I know lots of people who like using their secateurs to cut their woody stems, so particularly handy if you are starting out and you're still relying on your kitchen scissors. They won't be tough enough to use for anything that's particularly woody. And a quick tip for you, always make sure you clean your blades when you've finished use, but I tend to turn my blade upside down and cut like that. And you might find an apron helpful too, just to protect your clothes. And this one says, eat, sleep, flowers repeat. And it's one of my own designs. So if you fancy kitting yourself out with an apron just like this, again, I'll leave a link to it in the show notes underneath the video. In terms of more specialist items, I like to use pot tape. This is a narrow pot tape. I think it's about 6mm wide. Now, if you're buying this online, do make sure it's the sticky tape that you're buying and not the stretchy green tape which is used to make corsages. This one's sticky and this one has got stretch in it, so it won't be any good for creating a grid over your vases or holding your flower foam in place. And if you're going to be using flower foam, I always find it's handy to cut it using an old table knife. I always have a ball of string in my kit as well, and what you can see here is I've taped it closed so it doesn't unravel in my kit, and when I come to use it I always pull it out from the centre of the reel. That's handy if you're going to be making any tied bouquets to gift to friends. And if you're going to be doing any more modern work, I really love this paper covered wire. It looks just like string. You don't have to tie a knot when you want to fix it in place. You just twist the cut ends together. And again, I've bound over it with washi tape so to make sure it doesn't fall apart. And I can easily access the wire by pulling the strand from the centre of the reel. I like to have a few elastic bands in my kit as well, and quite often in my coat pocket. If you're anything like me, you might even pick these up from the street. You'll find them dropped when you get your post delivered. They're great for tying up any surplus flowers after you've been for class, so you can take them home and use them in a vase arrangement. Now, this isn't a pencil case. It's actually a case, I think, for keeping knitting needles in. It's the perfect length for storing your wires in. And if you'd like to know more about wires and how to use them, let me know in the comments and I can do a video about that. But these wires are of different weights and lengths and are really handy for giving extra support to your flowers, and at Christmas time, wiring things up like pine cones so you can put them into your doorways and table centerpieces. And the last 2 items, I always pack a towel with me. You never know when you're going to have some spills, but also I find it's quite handy to be able to wrap a towel around my arrangement so I can easily transport it home if I've been to a class. And finally, a small dustpan and brush, and even a little rubbish bin. But what I tend to do is to sweep everything into my huge bag that I take with me to class and then tip it out into the bin when I get home. What I tend to do with my flower arranging kit is to just take what I think I'm going to need for a particular class. When I first started flower arranging, I used to use a plastic toolbox to take my kit around, but it was never big enough. So what I tend to do now is to decant everything I need into a handy little carry bag. And that way I know I've got exactly what I need for class, but I'm not getting weighed down with all sorts of extra bits and pieces.